Imagine a land of rolling green hills. A soft mist hangs in the air, clinging to the valleys like a whispered secret. Suddenly, through the haze, a shape appears. It is a tower, ancient and grey, reaching for the sky. This is Wales. It is a country where you are never far from the past. Around every corner, on top of every strategic hill, you will find a castle. These stone giants are more than just old buildings. They are silent storytellers, witnesses to a long and often turbulent history. They stand as powerful symbols of a nation defined by its landscape, its legends, and its will to endure through centuries of conflict and change. Why does this small nation have so many castles? The answer is simple: conflict. Wales has more castles per square mile than any other country in Europe. We are talking about over 600 castles in a land just over 8,000 square miles. Some are now romantic ruins, their walls crumbling and covered in ivy. Others are mighty fortresses, still dominating the towns they were built to control. This incredible density of fortifications didn't happen by accident. It was the result of centuries of struggle, a long and bloody argument over who would rule this beautiful, rugged corner of Britain, a testament to the fierce resistance of the Welsh people. These fortresses were not all built by one side. The story of Welsh castles is a tale of two peoples. First, there were the native Welsh princes. They built their own castles to defend their lands and to show their power. These were often simpler structures built with earth and timber and later stone, strategically placed in the mountainous heartlands. They were symbols of Welsh independence. But then came the invaders. The powerful Norman lords and later the English kings marched into Wales. They brought with them a new and more formidable style of castle building, creating a network of stone strongholds to suppress and control the local population. The sheer number of these structures tells a story of relentless pressure and constant warfare. Think of it as a game of chess played out across the landscape, with castles as the key pieces. A Welsh prince would build a castle to secure a mountain pass. An English lord would respond by building a bigger, stronger one to control a vital river crossing or a fertile valley. This back-and-forth building boom lasted for hundreds of years. Each stone laid was a statement of intent, a declaration of power. The very hills and valleys of Wales became a battleground, not just of armies, but of architects and engineers, each trying to outdo the other. The most famous castle-building period in Wales was driven by one man, King Edward I of England. In the late 13th century, he was determined to crush Welsh resistance once and for all. After defeating the last native prince of Wales, Llywelyn ap Gruffydd, Edward began a building project of incredible ambition. He wanted to create an iron ring of castles around the north of Wales, particularly in Gwynedd, the heartland of the rebellion. These were not just defensive forts, they were symbols of total domination. They were designed to intimidate the Welsh and show them that English rule was here to stay, forever locked in stone. These castles were the peak of medieval military technology. The king hired the best architect of the age, Master James of St. George. He brought cutting-edge designs from mainland Europe and the Crusader states. Look at castles like Conwy, Beaumaris, Harlech, and Caernarfon. They feature concentric walls, meaning an outer wall and a higher inner wall. This created a deadly killing ground for any attacker who breached the first line of defense. They had round towers, which were stronger than square ones and offered better lines of sight for archers. These fortresses were state-of-the-art war machines, built to be impregnable. Life inside these castles was a world of its own. They were not just military bases, they were administrative centers and homes for the lord and his household. Imagine the sounds, the clang of the blacksmith's hammer, the shouts of soldiers training in the bailey, the smell of wood smoke and roasting meat from the great hall. The castle was a bustling community. It had its own chapel, its own well for water, and vast storerooms packed with food to withstand a long siege. For the English soldiers and officials living there, it was a small piece of England in a hostile land. For the Welsh people living in their shadow, it was a constant, looming reminder of their defeat. The cost of this building program was staggering. Edward I spent a fortune on his Welsh castles, a sum that nearly bankrupted the English crown. Tens of thousands of pounds were poured into quarrying stone, felling timber, and transporting materials. Thousands of craftsmen, masons, carpenters and labourers were conscripted from all over England and brought to Wales to work. It was one of the most expensive and ambitious building projects of the entire Middle Ages. Each stone was a symbol of English wealth and power, a clear message to the Welsh that resistance was futile against the might and resources of the English kingdom. Where there are castles, there are stories. The ancient stones of Wales are soaked in myth and legend, blurring the lines between history and folklore. Many castles are linked to the tales of the Mabinogion, the collection of ancient Welsh myths. For example, Harlech Castle is sometimes associated with the tragic tale of Branwen, a princess who suffered a great injustice. Standing on its high rock, looking out towards the sea, it is easy to imagine these ancient stories playing out. The wind whistling through the ruined battlement sounds like the whispers of long-lost kings and queens, their triumphs and tragedies forever part of the landscape. Heroic figures and ghostly apparitions are said to walk the halls of these fortresses. At Castell Coch, a fairy tale-like castle rebuilt in the 19th century, the ghost of a lady in white is said to search for her lost lover, a Welsh chieftain killed in a Norman attack. At Carew Castle, a restless spirit is said to be that of a Barbary ape, a pet of a former lord, Sir Rowland Rees, who haunts the ruins. These tales were more than just spooky stories. They were a way for people to connect with their past, to remember the struggles and romances that took place within these very walls, keeping the memory of their ancestors alive through generations. The legends are not just about ghosts, they are about defiance. Owain Glyndwr, the last native Welshman to hold the title Prince of Wales, is a national hero whose story is tied to many castles. In the early 15th century, he led a major rebellion against English rule. He captured key castles like Harlech and Aberystwyth, making them his headquarters and holding his own parliament. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed as if Welsh independence might be won. Though his rebellion was eventually crushed, Glyndwr became a legendary figure, a symbol of Welsh patriotism who is said to be sleeping, waiting to return when his country needs him most. These stories shape the Welsh identity. They transform the castles from mere symbols of English oppression into something more complex. They become places where Welsh heroes fought back, where Welsh culture survived against the odds. The legends reclaim the castles, making them part of the Welsh national story. When you visit a castle like Harlech, you're not just seeing an English fortress. You are standing in the place where Owain Glyndwr raised his standard, a site charged with the spirit of Welsh resistance and the undying hope for freedom that has echoed through the centuries. Today, on the 7th of June 2025, the castles of Wales are more important than ever. They are no longer instruments of war, but guardians of heritage. They are the biggest tourist attraction in the country, drawing millions of visitors from around the world. People come to walk the ancient walls, to climb the winding staircases, and to imagine what life was like centuries ago. These visitors bring vital income to local communities, supporting jobs and businesses. The castles have found a new purpose, transforming from symbols of conflict into engines of the Welsh economy, their formidable presence now a welcoming invitation to explore the past. These sites are also incredible outdoor classrooms. They bring history to life for school children in a way that no textbook ever could. Walking through the gatehouse of Caerphilly Castle with its famous leaning tower, or standing in the vast courtyard of Pembroke Castle, the birthplace of King Henry VII, you can feel the weight of history all around you. It makes the past tangible. It helps a new generation of Welsh children understand their own unique story, the struggles of their ancestors, and the forces that shaped their nation. The castles are a physical link to their identity, a proud and powerful part of their inheritance. But their role is also complex. For some, especially in recent years, these castles remain a painful reminder of a colonial past, of a time when Welsh culture and language were suppressed. The Iron Ring of Edward I, in particular, can be seen not as a glorious heritage, but as a monument to conquest. This ongoing conversation is healthy and important. It shows that the history of Wales is not a settled, dusty thing. It is alive and still being debated. The castles force people to confront the difficult parts of their history, to discuss what it means to be Welsh in the 21st century. Ultimately, the castles are the backbone of the Welsh landscape and its story. They are a constant presence, from the mighty coastal fortresses of the north to the romantic ruins in the south. They represent both oppression and resistance, sorrow and pride. They are a testament to the resilience of a nation that has held onto its identity through centuries of turmoil. They are more than just stone and mortar. They are the heart of Wales, holding the memories, the legends, and the indomitable spirit of its people. They stand silent, but their story shouts from every hilltop.